All right, hey everybody, and welcome to the fifth installment of Hangar 18. Do we know too much? Who the fuck knows? Anyway, we'll find out here in the next hour or so as we go through some reviews of some songs, some news, some stories, some unspeakable ancient evil, just the normal shit that we talk about in order to get our fucking minds off this piece of shit election that never fucking seemed to end. At least now baseball's over for a couple of days.
Yes.
Okay, we got that going for us. So, we do have to put up with shitbox ass election, which I happen to live in a battleground state, so guess what? It's just like pouring fucking bleach right in my eyes pretty much every time I turn on the goddamn television. But anyway, it's your fun-filled, super magnificent, stabby-faced, giant robot alien killer host, Thundercracker, or Dan, whatever the fuck you want to call me. And with me, as always, is my panel of deviant experts, my anchor in reality, Dreadwind.
What's up?
And I think today we have actually one of the ancient elder evils, the great old one, Cthulhu.
Hi, guys.
Exactly. All right, now, before we start here, I just want to go ahead and make this disclaimer right off the rip, right? And we've actually had a story about this in the past, but I want to talk about the pronunciation of Cthulhu or Cthulhu, right? From what I understand, there is no correct pronunciation of it. It's either Cthulhu or Cthulhu, and actually they're chaos gods, so really it's supposed to be like inherently chaotic, and Lovecraft never said which way it's supposed to be pronounced. And this whole episode of this Hangar 18 is going to be Lovecraftian based, so we might say the word a couple times. If we say it wrong, don't get your goddamn panties in a twist and don't comment.
For every guy that tries to correct them, I will make it my personal vow to introduce to you a series of nightmares you will never wake up from, ever.
Unspeakable horrors.
Yes.
I think we've also managed to cover about every spelling version of the word.
Oh yeah,
yes,
definitely. In the song titles themselves. All right, there's about at least 4 or 5 songs. Okay, so let's get right to heavy metal news. And in this segment, we talk about, you guessed it, some heavy metal news, right? And I just want to talk about, and I know everybody says, yeah, but he's old now, and but fuck those people. I want to talk about Ozzy Osbourne, right? Who right now.
Oh, you bastard!
He's on tour with Black Sabbath on his The End tour, and apparently
yes.
He's working on some stuff with
you bastard
Stevens and Billy Morrison, and he's working on a new album. And apparently, I've taken Dreadwind's news item. That's the benefit of going first. So anyway, I just wanted to say, I was looking, and here's a great quote from Ozzy Osbourne. Right, it's like he was being asked about his new album from Jose Mangan, and he says, "There's one song that's called Crack Cocaine. It's a bluesy thing," which that fucking line right there makes me laugh. So that's my bit of heavy metal news. What about you, Dreadwind? Go ahead.
Yeah, my news is Ozzy Osbourne is working on a new solo album soon, and it will be featuring Steve Stevens in songwriting process. Yeah.
Well,
Thank you for that.
Bitch. That sounds pretty familiar.
I know, right? In related news, though, while I was looking that up, I stumbled across the dumbest blog ever concerning Steve Stevens. And halfway through the blog, I was convinced it had to be satire, but sadly, this guy was actually legit complaining that Steve Stevens was the worst guitar player from the 80s. And his whole reasoning was that he sat down to learn how to play a Billy Idol song.
What?
And it was too hard for him to learn.
Has this guy heard of Steve DeVille?
Because this guy was expecting it to be like 3 power chords and that's about it. So it'd be a nice, easy, fun song to play. And he gets into it and realizes that, the song's a little more complicated than that. Ergo, Steve Stevens must suck because he can't play what Steve Stevens played.
Nice. Yeah, every time I think of Steve Stevens, I think of Billy Idol. Every time I think of Billy Idol, I think of that fucking song, "Cats in the Cradle." No.
No.
That
Rock.
mortal shall drown in the sea. Black.
Cradle of Love.
Cradle of Love. That's what it is. And they got this smoking hot chick like dancing around on a bed.
Yeah,
That pretty much that's like my train of thought every time I hear anything about Billy Idol. All right, let's go with the unspeakable horror, Elder Evil. Go ahead. Both of you have
Such a flatterer. My metal news is actually irrelevant to your little mortal debacle. Judas Priest is stepping back into the studio starting January of the next cycle. And so, ergo, we will probably be seeing an album come from their little studio soiree in the near future. So,
I bet it'll smell like leather and spikes.
yes, it will. And chains.
Nothing wrong with that. All right. All right, so moving on to our first album we're going to talk about, our first song we're going to talk about, and it is Black Sabbath, Behind the Wall of Sleep. And Black Sabbath was formed in Birmingham, England in 1968, and this album is from their first album. This song is Fuck. Let me start that one more time. This song is from their self-titled 1970 debut. The drums in this song, I think they have kind of like a jazzy type influence. Yes. They're very like bouncy.
Mm-hmm.
The lyrics of the song are very poetic. The drum outro is fucking amazing. I love fucking Black Sabbath. I'm an unrepentant Sab head. I love, Black Sabbath is to me like one of easily my top 3 favorite bands of all time. Behind the Wall of Sleep is a great song from a great album. I love that whole album. I'm sorry, but it's fucking amazing. The Wizard, Nib, whatever you want to call it, NIB, fucking awesome. I give it a 9 because it's badass. Dreadful.
Okay. Yes, the the drums are very jazzy throughout that entire. In fact, throughout a lot of Black Sabbath stuff, Bill Ward has a very jazzy approach to his drumming. This particular song, you can tell there's a very heavy blues jazz influence throughout it. That whole album, this first album, they really did that a lot before they got into their more horror themed stuff. They were more of a blues jazz band originally.
Earth, right?
When they were just started jamming out originally. And I love Black Sabbath. The first album from them has some iconic songs, like you mentioned, the song Black Sabbath, The Wizard, NIB are iconic songs. This one, not so much for me, because the rest of the album, to me, feels like they were kind of still trying to find their sound at this point. And you have the songs like NIB and Wizard and Black Sabbath that eventually went on to help define that sound, but the rest of the album to me sounds more like they're just kind of having an impromptu jam in the studio, kind of a blues jazz jam, and this is one of those songs that feels that way to me. I found the lyrics are a little nonsensical compared to some of their other songs. If you want a remorse, take your body to a corpse. I don't know. It's a filler song to me, so it's not one of their better choices. My favorite Sabbath albums are Paranoid and Master of Reality, where they really get into their sound. That's where I found that they found their click, they found their groove in those 2 albums. This particular song, I give a 6 because it's just not one of my favorites.
All right. Do that. Okay, so before we start here, without being in danger of losing my soul to an unspeakable eternal horror, would you mind turning down your chorus of souls just a little bit, because we're getting a little bit of an echo there too?
Please review the parameters and choose authorize.
Is that better?
That sounds much better, yes. Still having a little bit of echo. Maybe a little bit more.
Well, down here in the water, sound does carry a little bit farther.
That's true.
Go
ahead.
All right, so the wailing screams of my breakfast, you no longer hear it, right?
Yes, you're right.
Okay, excellent. Basically, I'm stuck in between, being a heavy sav head and, the fact that this song is, as Dreadwind put it, a filler song. I do like the bass work in this particular piece. But then again, when do I not talk about the damn bass? So,
it's all about that bass, some people say.
Yeah. So it's very jazzy. The drums do snap. They snap very, it's very brisky, jazzy. And it's very groovy. You can definitely tell what era that this song had came out in. And but it's still Black Sabbath, and so I gave it an 8.5.
Ah, there we go. All right. That's better. Okay, so now moving on to an instrumental, Metallica, The Call of Cthulhu, and it's off of their 1984 sophomore album, Ride the Lightning, which is, in my opinion, one of the best heavy metal albums of all time. Very, very, very iconic. And I know a lot of people give me shit for liking Metallica and saying, I'm a sellout because it's not as fucking hard as, say, Cannibal Corpse, but all those people can just fucking, I don't know, fucking throw themselves into the sun because I don't even want to expend the effort on them. Anyway,
or they could just, be my brunch.
Yeah, exactly. Sell their souls, right? So Metallica formed in LA. A lot of good bands were formed in LA around this era in 1981. It's a massively composed piece of artwork, in my opinion. This Call of Cthulhu. I mean, from beginning to end, from the slow parts to where the bass comes in, to where it slows down again, where the very riffy guitar pops into it. It's just fucking awesome. The solo is amazing. The drum roll thing at the end, where it's like, I love that. That's fucking awesome. And just every time I hear that, I just think of fucking, Cthulhu just coming up out of the water with fucking, blood and souls and chaos just dripping off of him.
Oh, he's thinking about me. It's almost
exactly
like
right.
The thought was planted.
I have a big affinity for that whole type of thing. So I really love it. I give it a 9.5. It's a fucking amazing song. Dreadwind?
Awesome. This whole album is special to me. This is actually the first Metallica album that I bought. So it's a special album to me, and this song I've always loved this song. It's hard to do a good instrumental and do it well. They do it well on this one. This is one of the songs off that album that features Dave Mustaine as a co-writer, where he co-wrote at least a portion of it before he left the band, and I guess they took some of his riffs and continued the thought process into this song. The bass really stands out just as much as the guitars. If you really sit and listen to it, just in the background, you can hear it. Wow,
Right. Yep.
Very meaty.
Yeah. Cliff just accents stuff really well with it. It's got a great build up. The ending's great. This particular album, I feel, is where Kirk was steadily improving and expanding on his playing style. He comes out in the first album and in Kill 'Em All, he kind of mimicking some of Dave's old solos and just thrashing through it. And then in this album, he starts to expand his style a little bit, gets a little more melodic in areas. And I felt he's started to improve with his playing, which continued on into the next probably 2 albums before he just got lazy. But his guitar playing is really good on this one. And the whole song paints a story in your head. That's when you know you have a good song. If you can listen to it and you can visualize what the song is getting across to you with no words.
Right. Yep.
That's a great song. I give it an 8.5 only because there are so many other great songs on that album as well.
Oh yeah, that whole album is amazing.
Yeah, yeah. By itself on any other album would probably be a higher score for me, but because there's so many other songs that are just as good or even better on that album, it's hard for me to give it too high of a score because I like, From the Bell Tolls, Creeping Death, yeah, stuff like that.
Fade to Black, Escape. All right.
Exactly. So 8.5 for me.
All right. Cthulhu, go ahead. I think that might be expired.
Yeah, it is. The stars are quickly aligning, and I'm waking up. Basically, what I love about this song is you guys basically covered every point. But I'm going to just go out and say that this song is from a really, really great album. This is basically another cornerstone within the cornerstone of heavy metal classics. And it goes without saying that this particular piece, from start to finish, tells a story. Every instrument is heard. The breakdowns are smooth. It's excellent guitar work. It's got a creepy intro. It's themed to the source material. It's an awesome instrumental piece. Dreadwind said that it's hard to do those. They made it look easy. This just keeps building, and it's hinting at that descent into madness. You literally see the shadow fall over a city of panicking people. And it gets a 9. 9 cultists out of 10 getting torn apart.
All right, so I think that averages out to a 9. So 999, flip that over, there you go. All right. Thank Satan for that. All right.
Satan?
Not really.
Tell him he owes me $5.
I'm just kidding. Maybe. All right, so moving on to a band called The Vision Bleak. And this is one of those, obscure type things I like to throw in here. And it's Cthulhu is the name of the song. The Vision Bleak is a gothic horror metal band from Germany. They formed in 2000. This is off their sophomore album, the 2005 Carpathia.
You say they're from Germany, and I almost wrote it down in my notes, but I didn't write it down. But that reminded me. I was trying to think of who the singer reminded me of, and he reminded me of the guy from Rammstein, but just trying to sing in English instead of German.
He definitely does. Definitely.
He does sound like that.
It was from their sophomore album, 2005, Carpathia, a dramatic poem. The opener of this song is a fucking sledgehammer. I mean, I'm sorry, but
yes.
that opener was fucking badass. It just smashed me right off the rip.
Yeah.
The singing was, I have down that singing was very campy / horror singing. It almost reminded me of like an episode of The Munsters almost, the singing. The breakdown with the solo I thought was quite awesome. I like this song. I give it an 8.0. So that's what I think. Dreadwind, go ahead.
Yeah, my first note is BAM, and that was from the intro. I'm with you there. The intro just slapped you in the face, and you're like, all right, cool. Driving rhythm to it. That breakdown kind of had a Metallica-esque feel to it.
Definitely.
Yeah.
There, yeah. And my only thing was the chorus with the chanting and all was a little. I didn't know what to make of it. I couldn't tell if I liked it or if it was completely, because it was so. It was so like opposite of what the song was that I couldn't tell if it fit because it was so stood out so much, or if it stood out too much and it didn't fit. I don't know. I give it a 7.
Guys are trying to think like sane people. There
you go.
Right. There we go. I gave it a 7.
7.
It wasn't too bad. I would be willing to listen to more from them.
All right. Betentacled one. Go ahead.
Yeah, definitely a sledgehammer. It's like, here's a high five with a sledgehammer. I love this. I actually love this song. I love thematic songs. I love epic songs. I love epic sounds. I'm a sucker for, as long as it's like good orchestral or choir integration. And to me, this was a case of good choir integration. It didn't take away from the song. The lyrics were on point. It was very essentially Dunwich horror. This was a death orgy song. So I give it 8.5 dismembered limbs stitched back together.
All right, that's a lot of dismembered limbs. All right, so our next song is from a band called Samael, and the song is called Rite of Cthulhu, and it's from their 1991 debut album Worship Him. Samael was formed in 1987 in Switzerland, and they are known for strange pantaloons, peace, and cheese. Anyway, the guitar in the beginning I thought sounded evil as fuck. It was a bare bones instrumental. There wasn't like a lot of like overlays and like I don't even know how to explain it musically because I don't know shit about music. But there wasn't like a lot of complicated stuff going on. Just a very like simple, easy instrumental, and it's only 2 minutes long. I happen to think it was pretty good. In fact, like a lot of these turned out to be really good. Stranger eonsly. Okay, but so I give it a 7.5. Dreadwind.
It was very short, like you said.
2 minutes 5 seconds.
Yeah, a very short instrumental. I wanted to see where it would go, but it didn't go anywhere. It
made you want more.
It wasn't bad. It sounded like a really long intro to a song that was never there. So you get the intro to the song, and then it just stops, and then there's no more song after that. So I give it a 5 because it's like it wanted to take me somewhere, but then it didn't. Damn,
that one's hitting hard today.
It's like you get on a roller coaster ride, and you're going up to the top. You're going up to the top, right? And it brings you all the way to the top and all the way to the top, and you get to the top, and you're ready for the ride to start, and then it just stops, and you have to get off.
All right. He who cannot be named,
or have too many names. Short, sweet, simple, but it was a tease. I gave it a 6.
A 6. All right. Even the reviews were short. What the fuck? All right. Our next song is from a stoner metal band, or a doom metal band, or a sludge metal band, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. Get off my airframe. A band called Electric Wizard, which I happen to like. And if you ever look at any Electric Wizard artwork or listen to their songs, it's pretty obvious where they're getting some of their inspiration from. Anyway, the song's called Dunwich. And
Excuse
me. Somebody little rough bong hit there. All right. So anyway, they were formed in Dorset, England in 1993. This is from their 2007 album, which is their 6th album. I believe it's called Witch Cult Today, if I can read my handwriting correctly there. I thought it had a very, shockingly for stoner metal, it had a very fat guitar groove to it, which, that's oh so rare in stoner metal. And the lyrics were a little bit tuned down and almost a little bit high-pitched, but that's also pretty common for stoner metal because, you're really kind of trying to groove the music there. Very evil / cultish lyrics, I thought, which is kind of counterintuitive for, songs about Cthulhu. Not really. But anyway, I gave it a 7.0. I liked it. So fight me. Dreadwind.
Let's fight. No. Yeah, first off the bat, lots of fuzz. I mean, I've heard fuzzy guitars before, but this left a hairball in my mouth after I was listening to it. It has had so much fuzz to it. Catchy rhythm. I liked the rhythm. Really hard to hear the vocals on it, and they need to dial down the fuzz just a little bit. I know it's stoner metal or whatever, and that's kind of their signature sound, but gosh, just turn it down a little bit. Don't go to 11. Go to 8.
All the way to 11.
All the way. It also felt a little repetitive, and again, that's kind of a signature stoner metal thing. But
yeah, they have short attention span, right?
Yeah, for some reason, this one just felt. I don't know if it was maybe the song was a little too long, and that's why it felt that way. Maybe they could have shaved a minute or two off. I don't know. I gave it a 6.
6.
Yeah.
Damn. Dreadwind is not liking the playlist this week. All right, let's go to.
We're not done yet either.
Oh, sorry. Oh yeah. Let's go to the giant, seemingly mind flayer. Go ahead.
Yes, it is very rare whenever something larger than you metallic creatures is looking down upon you.
It is. It kind of
It's
feels
truly
strange.
wonderful,
A
isn't
little
it?
emasculating.
I kind of like this. Like, I didn't, once I saw who it was, I was like, oh, another stoner band. And but when I got to listening to it, it was very good. Like, it was groovy with a hint of crunch. Like, it was like eating a Snickers bar. Like, it's crunchy, but then it's also creamy and gooey. And so, I mean, the vocals sounded a bit.
I just want to say I'm a little turned on by that. Go ahead.
Well, that's perfectly understandable. The death orgy comes later. I feel like the vocals sounded a bit too distant as a standalone piece, if you were to listen to it as a standalone piece without the theme. But it fits the theme of, voices in the fog and the shadows of Dunwich, the whispers in your mind. And, I love the bass work in this particular piece. I gave it a 7.
All right.
Yeah, I just feel like the song itself was, I think, written well. My biggest issue with what I had with the song was just the guitar fuzz on it is just so dialed up that it kind of distracts from the actual rhythm, and then the vocals are so low that you can't hear anything over the fuzz of the guitar. So that's my biggest complaint with that song.
No one can please you, Dreadwind. No, I'm just joking.
I know.
All right.
Seriously, this person, this Dreadwind character, is so sad all the time. He's more depressed than
almost
half
seems like
of my initiates. I thought my initiates were depressed. Yeah.
All right. So we're going to move on to our next song, and it is by a band called Hypocrisy. And this song is called Necronomicon, or Necronomicon, or whatever the fuck you want to pronounce it. Again,
Plateau Verata Nikto.
Exactly right. So anyway, they were formed in 1990 in Sweden, and they started out as death metal, and then they changed over to melodic death metal. And you can tell exactly when they changed, because as soon as they changed, like, you had the fucking purists of death metal in all their fucking comment section going, yeah, they fucking pussied out. But here's the thing. I like melodic death metal, so you know what? You can fucking fuck off as far as that goes. Anyway, again, a very evil opening riff. The solo, to me, when I heard it, it brought to mind a Bone Saw in, like an 1863 battle, just sawing away at some fucked up soldiers like a musket ball wound. That's what it sounded like to me. It was awesome, right? And this is from their sophomore 1993 album, Obsculum Obscenum, something like that, Obscenum. Anyway, I kind of liked it. It's definitely death metal. It's like fucking textbook death metal.
It is technical as fuck.
So it's definitely, it's got the blast beat, it's got the tempo breaks, it's got the growly voice. I mean, it's pretty much interchangeable with a lot of death metal. But I thought it was good. I give it a 7.5. And we all know how much Dreadwind loves death metal. Go ahead, Dreadwind.
Nobody loves me.
That's okay.
Hypocrisy, they're kind of a hit or miss band with me. Some of their songs I'm like, I really get into, and others I just hit the skip button right away. It had a cool change-up riff in this song. It's got some really cool riffs throughout here and there when you get outside of the typical, 28th note death metal stuff that they do.
How's that go again?
Yeah.
Congratulations, you've just one character of our ancient alphabet.
Yeah, exactly right.
Right. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Death metal, Yeah.
Cut that song.
What do you mean? You take
there you
back
go.
About my mom.
That was That was like 80% of death metal albums right there. It's very typical death metal, and his singing style, this is what I commonly refer to as Cookie Monster vocals, because it sounds like Cookie Monster's singing the song, you know. Hey, it's for Cookie. It's good enough for me.
Hey, you know, actually, Austrian Death actually wrote an entire song about that. Go ahead.
Yeah. I have just for full disclosure, I have a Hypocrisy album. I think it's The Final Chapter is the name of it, and it's a little bit later in their career, and I much prefer the songs on that one than what I've heard from this one. So this song I give a 5.
Damn,
Holy.
scorching them today. All right, Madness Incarnate. Go ahead.
I, on the other hand, love death metal.
Me
I'm
too.
sorry. And by that, I mean I'm not sorry. I love technical riff work. I love that 28th note. And I love that. I love that. So that song has this in spades. And as a result, I gave it a little bit higher score. I gave it an 8.
An 8. All right, so they scored out pretty good, despite Dreadwind's trying to fucking drag us down.
That's my job. I drag you down.
Somebody has to do it.
That's true. All right, so moving right along to our next song. It's from a band called Iron Sword, which I think is our very first Portuguese song here on the Hangar, or Portuguese band.
Let me guess the name of the song.
Go ahead.
Does it have Cthulhu in it?
It does. It's called Call of Cthulhu.
That's me.
All right. They were formed in Portugal in 1995. This song is from their third album, Overlords of something. I can't read what I fucking wrote there. Chess, maybe? I don't know. Fuck it. Anyway, they released it in 2008. The opening sequence of this song reminds me a very, very much lot of For Whom the Bell Tolls Live, where they got that din-din-din-din-din. So it sounded a whole lot like that to me. In fact, a lot of this sounded a lot like Metallica to me. The bass guitar was pretty prominent in it, I thought, and the solo was pretty good. I thought it's pretty awesome solo. It wasn't like, you know, a fucking 3-minute long aria of guitar finger shredding like some solos.
It wasn't guitar porn.
Right, exactly. Like some of those just get a little, you know, ridiculous, where you forget you're listening to a song and you think you just listen to some guy like masturbating on his guitar.
Yeah.
I was just about to say guitar masturbation.
Yeah, I mean, we get it. You know, you're good at guitar. Calm down. There's 4 to 3 other guys in your band, you know, so relax a little bit.
That's funny you say that. I have a Steve Vai album, and I have several Steve Vai albums, but on one of the songs on one of his albums, you know, Steve Vai, like his whole song is just him wanking on guitar, and at the end of the guitar, he actually has a clip where he says, "Shut up, we know you can play."
Nice. So yeah, kind of like that. So I thought it was good, the solo. In fact, I thought the whole song was pretty good. I gave it a 7.5. So we're going to go ahead for Dreadwind to drag us down into fucking the pits of despair. Go ahead.
Where do I start? Okay. Yeah, the one I watched had just like the album cover on it, the video, and the album cover, you know, is like very Dungeons and Dragon-y, Conan with
definitely a bunch of half-naked dudes with maces and stuff.
Yeah. Well, they had naked chicks on it, and then they had dudes with axes and stuff. But yeah, but the cover and the build-up, the intro to the song, to me had kind of a bit of a Manowar feel to it.
Yeah, it did.
You know, and then the vocals kicked in. I have nice solo. Yeah, the vocals are nothing like Manowar, by the way. Nice solo. The change up around the 2-minute mark was really cool. The music, to me, the whole song musically gets an A. I loved the music. I loved the music of the song. The vocals, not so much. I don't know what he was trying to do when he was singing, but it didn't work. And then, but here's the kicker. He finally had something right at the end, like the last 5 seconds, where he actually kind of, sings the outro part, and he actually sings it. And it's like, dude, you had it right there. Sing the rest of the song like that. What the hell? Yeah. I give it a I give it a 6.5 because of the vocals. If the vocals were better, it would have a much higher score than that.
All right. Let's go for Captain Chaos. Go ahead.
Well, essentially, I have to agree with Dredd on this one. The music in this piece is very nice. It's everything you want to expect from a song like this. It's very Man-O-War themed, like very, very Man-O-War sound. It was beginning to tell a story of, hey, we're going on an adventure because this thing with tentacles is calling us. So, I like that. But the vocals gave the song, for lack of a better word, an identity crisis. Like, if he were singing for something a little bit crunchier, a little bit more morose, it would have been better. So, all in all, I gave it a 7.
7. All right. Okay. All right. Our next song, and I'm sure the Dread one's going to love this one too, is from a band called Entombed, which were once called Nihilist, but they changed that pretty quickly. And they were formed in Sweden in 1987. And Entombed, I love Entombed, so I'm a big fan of theirs.
Entombed.
And this is from their 1992 sophomore album, Clandestine. The song was called Stranger Eons. This, to me, is typical Entombed music, where it's just angry, fucking violent, crunchy, like fucking guttural riffage. It's just nonstop hammers at you. And then, the singer just fucking growls at you, like, right over top of it. And it's not Wolverine Blues or anything, or or Blood Drinker or anything like that. But I mean, it's really, really good. And in my opinion, it's like, typical Entombed type music. And I really liked it. I gave it a 7.5. So let's go with Dreadwind. What did you think of Entombed Stranger Eons, or Aeons, or whatever the fuck you want to call it?
Entombed. Just to be specific, they're not entombed, they're entombed.
Entombed, yeah. What's that?
Yeah, not I-N, entombed. E-N, entombed.
Yeah, Entombed.
Entombed.
Okay.
Clearing that up. Guitars. Fuck yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
That's my note. Fuck yeah on the guitars. The guitars are fucking awesome on this song.
When you're compelled to write down fuck yeah, something good's going on.
Oh yeah, all the way through. And the bass player, I don't know who the bass player is, but did he not remind you of Cliff
a little bit? Yeah.
His headbanging.
In fact, you can hear him in heavy metal song.
Yeah, that too. And he plays with he uses his fingers instead of a pick, and he's got the hair going around. I had to take a double take. I was like, dude, they got Cliff on bass. That's awesome. Vocals were meh. They weren't my favorite vocals, but they weren't bad either. It's kind of typical for that style of music and what you expect to hear. I felt like maybe he could have had a little bit stronger vocal performance for this song, but it wasn't bad. The music alone is just awesome and worth listening to for that alone. So I give it a 7. I would be willing to listen to more.
7. All right. Let's go with the Ancient Elder Evil.
It says, here, have a hammer. Then it says, here, have another one. Oh, you like that? Have another one. And that's basically the synopsis of the song. The guitar work in this song is my second favorite out of this list. I love the guitar work in this piece. I love Entombed. Been a long time fan of Entombed. And ergo, I gave the song an 8.
An 8, all right. Yeah, it definitely hits you in the face from beginning to end.
It's one of those songs that makes you want to get up and move. It's
It does.
definitely got that crunch to it, and I love it. So
All right. So now we're going to flip the script entirely around and go to something that I'm going to go ahead and guess that Dreadwind loves, and I don't like because of the reasons why he doesn't like shit that I love. So here we go. The band is called Iced Earth from Tampa, Florida, 1995. John Schaefer joint, and the song is called Cthulhu. And it seems like we might have had a theme during this whole thing, maybe a Lovecraftian Cthulhu type thing. You might have noticed.
You guys just need to take a nap, and you'll forget about the whole thing.
Wait, there's a theme?
Yeah, exactly. You might have noticed that a theme or something like that, if you were paying attention.
Yeah.
Anyway, my notes here are I hate, with capital H-A fucking T-E, the goddamn opening singing. Get your balls out of the vice, dude. Seriously. Because what the fuck was that? I mean, it's a song about an ancient elder evil god that's going to come through and, chaos everything the fuck up and destroy everything, eat everything, and knock down buildings and kill people and shit. And he's like, what the fuck was that? So I hated that, first of all. The tempo change, on the other hand, I thought was quite amazing, right? They went from, almost like a lullaby to just fucking blasting the shit out of it, right? And
that's pretty typical Iced Earth, though.
And the drums, I thought it was weird in the song. The drums almost reminded me of punk rock. The drums. The solo was unbelievable. It was just amazing solo. The cover art was also very awesome, in my opinion. And I forgot to say, this is from their 2014 album, Plague of Babylon. I really liked it. Other than the shitty shit-and-hammer shit-heel singing, I gave it a 7.0 Dreadwingo.
It's called melodic, you fuck. Yeah.
Yes. Fight amongst yourselves.
Yes. No, Iced Earth, that, like I said, that's pretty typical of Iced Earth with the soft intro and kind of a melodic style singing, and then it kicks into the full guitars and everything. I'll point out too that this is their most recent album from 2014, Plagues of Babylon, and this features their newest singer. They've gone through more lineup changes than Megadeth has.
That's saying something.
Yeah, their newest singer, who is Stu Block. He's been on, I think, the last 2 albums, and I have to admit, I have not really. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say that guy should really go through puberty, because even when they start to smash it with the guitars, he's still way up there in the octaves.
Well, I admit I have not really followed Iced Earth much since Matt Barlow left the second time, so this was a new one for me. I had not heard this one before, and it sounds to me like he's trying to imitate Barlow on this song. I picked up on that a lot. That the way he sang this song, he was trying to sing it the way Matt Barlow would have sung it, which is not necessarily a bad thing, because I like Matt Barlow and I like that era of Iced Earth. That's my favorite version of Iced Earth, but he's not Barlow. So it sounds like he's just trying to imitate Barlow, and that's how it comes across. The guitars, as always, are great guitar work. Their guitar player, their lead guitar player, unfortunately just left the band, Troy Seal, is the one that did the solo on this one. He's an amazing guitar player. Great guitar work all the way through. It kind of overall, the song sounded like they're trying to go back to their Something Wicked album style with the way the song was written and how it went, which again I like.
I saw that. I felt that too. It's like, yeah, this is Something Wicked.
Yeah. So overall, I liked it. I'm not a huge fan of the singer, but knowing that I can't have an Iced Earth with Matt Barlow anymore because he's just not going to do it, I guess this is all you can get. So I give it a 7.5.
All right. The God of Chaos, go ahead.
Let's see here. Great guitar solo. Godly guitar solo. Godly guitar work.
Right.
Very powerful sound. He did kind of, tried to imitate Matt Barlow a lot.
Yeah, a lot.
A lot, which took away from this piece in my score, too. That's just like, if you had just sang, the way you sing, this song, I think, in my opinion, would have came out better. But imitation is the basest form of flattery, and sometimes you gotta pay homage, and I get that. Everybody pays homage to me in a lot of different ways. I gave it a 7.
All right. Okay, and now the moment we've all been waiting for.
Yeah.
Fucking waiting for. All right, Metallica is our last artist, and the song is called "The Thing That Should Not Be." And I think Jason Newsted once
Are they
called
talking
it.
about me?
Yeah, exactly. And I think Jason Newsted once called it appropriately about the heaviest fucking number known to man. And I don't necessarily agree with that, but it's definitely fucking heavy. And here's what I think about "The Thing That Should Not Be." It's from their 1986 Master of Puppets album, which is my favorite Metallica album. Every song on that album I love. Every one of them. From beginning to end. I think there's 8 of them. All 8 of them are fucking amazing. The instrumental, Orion instrumental is fucking just badass. I love that. Love Disposable Heroes, Master of Puppets. And everything on that fucking album is amazing in my opinion. It's the last album we had Cliff on. R.I.P. Cliff. Mr. Bird, fucking badass. And I love the stage props they have where it looked like, they're in the cemetery with the unseen hands above, like pulling the strings of the puppet, which is fucking awesome. I just love it. I love this era of Metallica. I love this song in particular, "Thing That Should Not Be." I mean, it's like this huge long song, and it like Dreadman was saying earlier, it tells a story. This time, he's got lyrics to it, but he definitely, you can tell that he's talking about, he's talking about the two. And I have down here amazing guitar, amazing bass, amazing drums, amazing vocals, amazing lyrics, fucking overall amazing. I love this song. I'm fucking like just getting a little bit wet in my panties right now just talking about it. I give it a fucking 10.0.
Death Orgy! Death Orgy!
Exactly. So let's go ahead and go to Dreadwind.
Well, okay.
Got a little excited
Heavy.
there. I'm sorry.
Heavy as fuck.
Yes.
How's that? Heavy
Thank
as
you.
fuck, man. This is how do I even start with it? This is my Metallica.
Agreed.
Okay.
Yes.
When people are like, what bands do you like? And I say I like Metallica. This is the fucking Metallica I'm talking about right here. All right. This Metallica. This album was Ride the Lightning was my first album that I bought from Metallica. The first album that I heard was this album, Battery. My cousin had come home with it, put it on. I listened to Battery, and the rest was history. This is the album, the band, the songs that made me love heavy metal and made me want to pick up a guitar. Right here.
Nice.
All right. This is it. This is when I think the band was at their zenith, when they were.
Yes.
They really got away from, the thrashy that they started in Kill 'Em All, but then they started to kind of carve their own little, niche out and stand on their own feet apart from everybody else. This was it right here. This is the zenith right here. Again, Kirk's guitar playing continued to improve through this album. Arguably some of his best guitar playing between this one and Injustice for All.
Oh, yeah.
The lyrics, again, I think are at James's, I keep using this word, but it's true. This was his lyrical zenith in this album right here. The lyrics are a masterpiece throughout the entire album. The only thing that comes close, I think, in my mind, is the lyrics that he had on Justice for All.
Agreed.
This is easily one of my top 5 Metallica songs of all time. Probably one of my top 3 songs. I've always loved this song. It's just heavy as fuck.
Me too. It's a shame they don't play it live more.
Oh, I agree. I have 9.5 written down, but fuck it, I'm gonna give it a 10.
Oh, he changed it to 10. Upped it. All right. So the last score of the day goes to you there, Cthulhu. Go ahead. Thing That Should Not Be.
Your world will be in ashes, and your bodies will lay strewn across the land. The sea shall run with the blood and bile of your inherent carcasses of your children's children. But amidst the ashes and fire, there will stand a lone obelisk. Upon its zenith, this fucking album and this fucking song. This is your legacy, mortals. This is a 10 out of 10.
Sweet. All right, so I think I think that's the very first time we've gotten straight 10s on anything. So
I think so.
yeah, I think it is. So Metallica thing that should not be. If Metallica gave a shit about our shitty little three-guy podcast about metal, they'd think, hey, wow, we got a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, no shit.
So, all right. So,
no, but I like Metallica's Load album. That's what I listened to first. Fuck you.
Yeah. I get people trying to defend Saint Anger to me all the time, too. I'm like, what the fuck? All right. So, anyway, there you go. That's our 10th song.
Don't even mention that.
Yeah.
No, don't even mention that.
Agree. So, here we go. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to our final segment in which we talk about stories that have happened to us at heavy metal concerts. And there was a tour. I'm going to go first here. And there was a tour in a tour. The
correct pronunciation is
anyway, there was a tour, a 3-hour tour in 1996, and it was called The War of the Gargantuans. Okay, and it featured as the co-headliners Pantera and White Zombie. And They had the opener of I Hate God, okay? And that was my senior year of high school, and we went to go watch them. I believe it was in Dayton, Ohio. We went to go watch them. And I think it was at the Hara Arena, or it might have been at the Nutter Center. I'm not 100% sure. That's pretty much a foggy time in my life for some reasons I won't go into. But anyway, here's the thing. Yeah, right, exactly. Sweetly comes to mind. So, actually, you did that pretty good. So anyway, we go to this show, and there was a whole bunch of us that went. There was like 10 of us that went. And there was a chick that went with us that I was pretty enamored with at the time. And anyway, we go there, and we didn't have floor seats. We had side seats there. We were pretty close. We were like maybe like 11th row up. And we were kind of like at a shitty angle because like if you get too close to the stage on the side, you really can't see the whole stage. You only see really one side of it. And that's kind of where we were at. But anyway, Pantera was on, and Pantera was fucking just blistering the fucking set. I mean, they were killing it. And they were going through there, and like for those of you who have seen, Phil Anselmo in any of his bands, like Down or Superjoint Ritual or Pantera, he likes to like talk shit a lot during his sets, right?
Yes.
So anyway, he's going through this, this blistering set, and then he stops and he's talking about something, or I forget what it was. But for like a split second, I crossed my arms, just to like, if you're almost trying to keep warm or, your defensive posture. Anyway, Phil Anselmo looked right at me, and I'm not sure if he was talking up to me or not, but it definitely seemed like he was. He says, you know what I hate? I hate people that fucking come to these concerts trying to impress their girlfriends, and they stand there like this, and he fucking crosses his arms, and he like gets this shitty look in my wrist. I had my arms crossed for like a millisecond before he did that. Right? So I immediately uncrossed my arms, and like I could tell people were looking at me. I'm not sure if he was talking about me, but I swear I think he was. Right.
He was talking about you.
Right. So anyway, that's my getting chastised by Phil Anselmo. That's my heavy metal story. Kind of embarrassing and I'm not, again, it probably wasn't me. It's probably somebody less cool than me. But that's my story. And let's go with Dreadwind for your heavy metal story of the Cthulhu themed Hangar 18. Go ahead.
Yeah, I actually stand like that all the time at concerts. It's just what I do. I stand there, and if I like the music, my head will be moving. If I don't like the music, it won't be moving.
Right.
But
that's the default posture.
Funny thing that you mentioned, Phil, and how he talks. I saw him at a Ozfest he was with Superjoint Ritual at the time, and he comes on, and he does his usual thing in between songs, and the whole crowd is like, stop talking, in between songs. He's just doing his thing and going off and going on, and let me tell you, and everybody's like, play the music. So You could feel it. You know, you can feel it. You can feel the crowd feeling that way.
Oh yeah, I felt the crowd quite a few times.
Yeah, you could, you know, not feeling in a good way with a handful of something, but just you could feel that they were getting
Annoyed.
angsty. Yes. So anyway, they finished their set, and then the very next band that came on after them was Dimmu Borgir,
Hello.
and the very first thing they when he came out, and he said, the singer for Dimmu Borgir comes out and goes, "Hey, so we're not one of those bands that does a lot of talking. We're just going to let our music do the talking for us." And then, bam, they went into their set. I just thought that was fucking hilarious.
Nice.
So
It's not
that's
often
not really.
It's not often that Dimmu Borgir upstages Phil Anselmo, but you said you have another story?
Well, that wasn't my initial story. That was just, it reminded me when you mentioned Phil. That's what it made me think
Okay.
of.
So we're going to use that one? All right, so fair enough.
Yeah, we can go with that one. That's fine.
All right, so as opposed to, Unspeakable Evil, do you have a story of a concert, Derek Cthulhu?
Let's see here. I will have to go back to my favorite otherworldly creations that are also entombed in prison on this planet, Guar. And it was at Guarbecue 2013. And at that particular end set with Guar on stage, Jaeger Monster started playing. And I often make bets with people. I go, well, if Jaeger Monster comes on, I'll kill this fifth of vodka. And I killed a fifth of vodka during Jaeger Monster. In one go. Actually, it was 2 goes, but I chugged about 2/3 of it before hacking, and then I finished it. And shortly thereafter, I went to bed. And I slept for 1,000 years. Pretty much is what it felt like.
Now, did you go to bed at the concert? Is my question.
No, because that was the end. That was the end show. Because Guar always headlines. Guar always plays last. But I definitely missed the morning after chill. I did not wake up until sometime the following afternoon, whenever they were like, "Oh, by the way, it's time to go."
Yeah, a giant pile of alcohol tends to have that effect on you.
But.
All right.
Giant pile of alcohol has many effects on you.
Right.
But needless to say, drinking a fifth of alcohol, which I've done on numerous occasions at concerts, like I'll just get in that mode and just do it for no other reason than to do it. It always ends up with me passing out for an undefined amount of time.
Oh yeah.
I often miss shit.
Did you get sick?
No, I can't upchuck alcohol. I can't.
Okay. And blackout drunk.
Yeah,
often
when it comes to puking, the sphincter in my stomach, like the upper one, there's a fault in it to where it will not release. So I have to be very careful because I could force my liver into direct failure whenever I do that. But fuck it.
That's the price you pay for heavy metal.
That's the price you pay for heavy metal. If I die to metal shit, I'll die a happy man.
Oftentimes, too, I hear a lot, and I've actually experienced this myself, where if you get completely wasted and drunk and sick on a particular type of alcohol, you just can't drink it anymore because it makes you sick.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, that's our show, and we hope you enjoyed our theme show, our thematic show about Cthulhu. And if you didn't, we don't give a shit because we're metalheads. We do what we want. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. We don't care. And so that's been our show. Thanks for watching, horns up, motherfuckers. And try not to kill yourself out of misery between now and fucking November 8th. It'll be over soon, I promise. And that's
then it'll be over.
Exactly. Exactly. Then the real fun begins. So anyway, everybody have a good day, and don't fucking text and drive. Or if you do, fucking try to veer your car into somebody that deserves it. All right, so I'm just kidding about that. Don't text and drive. So yeah, that's me. Dread, want to go ahead with your sign off?
Hail Cthulhu.
All right, and Cthulhu, you just got some hail. Go ahead. All right, I heard that too about Tia Ferra. All right, everybody have a good day. Signing off.
Jeez.